Welcome back. Today we are going to be taking a look at the F-4EJ ADTW, and this is one of the worst phantoms in the game. But before you are instantly put off by that, it has a pretty favorable matchmaker, and when the new battle rating changes come out, this thing might become pretty competitive. But you have to wait and see. Do not buy it preemptively just because I just told you that. The missiles aren't great. You have 4 AIM-9Js. They're called AIM-9Ps, but you should be familiar with the Js, and they are on a lot of the Japanese planes. And then you have the Sparrows, and the Sparrows we are familiar with. However, these are not the AIM-7E2s, these are the regular ones. And the regular ones, they track slower off the rail, it takes longer for them to start pulling fully, and all in all, just treat them like AIM-7E2s if you are familiar with them, that are kind of delayed in the brain. They can be good, but they kind of have to wake up. Once they are woken up completely, they just kind of behave like a normal one, like an E2. But you can't really shoot these off close range in head-ons and stuff, and you will be outranged by people carrying AIM-7Fs around, because well, that's half the matchmaker nowadays. So you have to be kind of careful. I only carry 2 of these if I get up tier, because they are hella heavy. They're about 220 kilogram a piece, and that's not the kind of weight that I want to haul around. Now sure, I can accomplish the same feat by jettisoning your modder out of the back seat, but then my canopy is open and I get a hell of a lot more drag. So in the end of the day, the 2 extra Sparrows are not really worth it anyway, unless I get down tier, because in the down tier people are not really familiar with the quote-unquote better radar missiles. They're used to something like an R3R. Stuff like that. It doesn't pull very hard. People aren't really aware of them. So if you get down tier to like 11.3, these Sparrows come in very handy. And I'll show you that in the video here pretty quickly. So, then the burning question. Is this thing worth your money? Well, the short answer is kind of no. Sure, it's a good grinder, however. Because if you want to get Japanese top tier, if you want to get the EJ Kai for whatever reason, then yes, this is going to be your best bet. Because you still have to fly the EJ. These 2 planes are identical. And then you can skip flying this, the T2 and the F-4EJ. These planes are all pretty mediocre. Same goes for this premium one and same goes for the JASDAF. Now the JASDAF is okay, but you can only grind up until rank 6. By buying this thing, you'll speed up all of this suffering to get the EJ Kai a little bit quicker. Is there a reason to get the EJ Kai? I don't think so. Sure, you have 4 AIM-9Ls. Sure, you have 4 AIM-7Fs. Sure, you have a Vulcan. Good countermeasures. But the airframe is absolutely appallingly bad. And if you look at something like an F-16, which has the same radar, the same missiles, the same gun, all in all, and a much better airframe, let's be honest here, I don't really see a reason right now to go for the EJ Kai. It has a little bit more Vulcan ammo, a little bit more countermeasures if you don't go for the Chinese one, and a little bit, 2 more AIM-7Fs. But is that really worth the trade-off when your performance is just that bad? I don't think so. Now once they start adding the F2, the Mitsubishi F2, as well as something like an F-15 in the future, we all know it's gonna come eventually, then maybe sure, but for now I would say skip on this thing, wait for it to go on 35% off, because as of right now, it is simply, there's not much to get here. So unless you really want to get the EJ Kai, be my guest, but then this is basically a no-brainer, but I would still wait for a sale nonetheless. Now, if you want to get anything from the guys in store, you can do so by using my discount code down below. You get this decal right here to put over your vehicle. You get a 3% off. I get a cut. Everybody wins. And of course, thank you to all my YouTube members and my Patreons. But let's get right into the video. So, how are we going to fly it today? Well, it depends on the matchmaker by a quite substantial amount. Mostly, in a down tier, you are kind of uncontested. There are a few planes that can catch you. There are a few planes that will absolutely ruin your day. Something like an F-4E, which is essentially literally us, but just better. He has better Sparrows. He has the Agile Eagle set, which is a massive difference. He's probably going to be pulling the same as you do if you shoot one of his elevators off. So that's kind of unlucky. And here we get down tier. So I'm going to be showing you the strength of these Sparrows. I come in from below, and that means that I don't have any ground clutter. And I'm just going to be shooting these things off once I reach about like 4 kilometers. I shoot it off, you see that it's kind of slow to react, but once it starts tracking, it basically becomes the same as with the E2. I guide it in, he dies, and that's going to be kill number 1. And everyone is looking at some guys on my right here. And because I come from below, and people are not very familiar with radar missiles, they're simply just going to be eating all of them, which is exactly what you want. Second missile out, on the way, And you just kind of wait, and this makes it pretty effective. Boom, second one down. 2 for 2 already. Going well so far. F-104, is he gonna be doing anything to this? Probably not. We shoot it off, but he chaffs it. So yes, on occasion there are people that actually do bring chaff, even in the down tiers. There's a lot of people that don't, however, because they think, well, it's a down tier, 11.0 is the max. And there's a very slim chance you run into the very good radar missiles like the AIM-7Fs. So a lot of people just carry flares only, and especially the planes in the down tier that aren't too familiar with the missiles. Absolutely appallingly bad launch with the AIM-9P. Don't know why I even fired it, but I look up, I see another missile coming in. We got the afterburners, we flare a little bit, we try to pull into the missile, it misses, and we go towards the next person. A5C, we shoot the missile off, go straight forever, starts curving in. Goodbye A5C, it was good knowing you. Kill number 3. You need to give these missiles a lot of time to wake up, and once they do, they are okay. So don't try to shoot these off at super close ranges. They're not going to be doing anything to you. They haven't had their coffee yet, and they really just need the leisurely time to set up and wake up. And that's okay, I'm not a very strict boss. A5C in front of us, so I might as well just switch targets. He's very busy bombing. So what do? Well, we just hold trigger down and we miss all our rounds. Shoot a bit more, set him on fire, and that's going to be kill number 4. And you really want to pick targets that make it so that you never have to go on the defensive. If you go defensive in this thing and you get people on your 6 and they decide to chase you forever, you're gonna have a very bad time. If you can't outrun them, you're probably boned. And if you can outrun them, you're probably not that much quicker, so they just end up sticking on your 6 forever. And it's very annoying to deal with. A lot of people, even F-104s, they can just throttle drop behind you. Now sure, they won't actually outturn you, but you don't actually turn well enough to have a good time against it either. You are a massive target, you don't turn particularly well, and if there's a guy on your 6, and even though he doesn't turn very well, but he's going slower than you, you're gonna have a little bit of an issue. So try to stay outside of defensive scenarios, but you can't always do that. And that's the main gripe I have for this thing. You have to be on the defensive, you need to have a team that clears your 6, and you need to pick the right targets. That's the main important part here. The things you do in this plane, you can do in basically every plane at this BR. Granted, it has some radar missiles and a lot of IR missiles. It's a missile bus to the highest order, but it is at 11.0, but the F-4EJ is just much better than it. And that's going to be my main gripe here. So is it good? No. Can you get stuff done with it quite well? Yeah, I would say so. So we killed 5 guys now, and then there is 2 MiG-21s directly above us. So what do? We do the absolute ballsiest move we can do. We pitch up straight for them and basically suicide right into them. And that's what I mean with chaff doesn't work if you keep flying straight. So if you are slow and you chaff, you are basically boned if the missile is already in the air. You need to pre-chaff, which is not what he did. He waited for me to fire. I fired, and because he didn't really change direction and he didn't really try to get out of the missile just decides that it tracks him anyway. It's kind of, I'm not sure how accurate that is. I find it kind of annoying in this game because you have a very hard time defeating radar missiles like that in some vehicles. But hey, I'll take it because that's going to be kill number 6. And I still have 7 missiles for this one MiG-21. And I'm going to use all of them because he's the last enemy in the enemy team. So we lock him up. And I see that he's trying to pull in, so I'm gonna fire a missile into his flight path. We force him to turn out here, go wide, and we are still below him, so we are in a pretty damn good position. And then he turns the opposite direction, and he just gives us his ass. And because he's a MiG-21 that just kinda dumped all the speed, we get a very easy time sitting on the 6. And there's the rewards. I don't actually have a test drive for this thing, I actually have it. So the rewards are representable of what you might get for a game like that. So we get behind a Mirage 3C. He doesn't have flares, he's not going to be doing anything. But the only reason I show you this is so I have some time to set up this kill right here. We are very low on ammo, very low on fuel, and this A5C has been on the runway for about 3 to 4 minutes, and he finally took off. Or he finally left the airfield. So we are gliding in because we don't have the fuel to RTB, because he's just going to do the same thing over and over and over again. And I don't want that. So I'm gliding in, I'm going 950, he doesn't even take the head on. What does he do? He turns around to the airfield, gives us his 6, and gets his wing shot off. So this guy, instead of just trying to fight me and actually winning, because I wouldn't be able to win that kind of fight, he turns around, gives me a 6, trying to run back to the airfield while he's not even in missile range. And then he goes in and eats a tree. Why do I show you this? Because I like making fun of people that try to camp the airfield. Here is another game. We are flying on LLMA, and this is more of an up tier. 11.7, but there is a lot of planes, or there are a lot of planes that are roughly the same PR as we are. So we sideswipe one guy and then we fly into the main furball. We go ahead on with an F-4E. None of us hit anything. And we fly on our merry way. Now this guy is going to try to chase us. It's not going to work because I'm basically the same plane, but I'm going straight and he is still turning. So I'm not even sure why he tries to shoot these off. I mean, be my guest. He's just going to leave you out of missiles. Thank you for shooting them off. But he is kind of locking me down and he is making it very hard for me to really do anything. So we try to turn around here. The second he does as well. And right now he's still somewhat isolated. My team is looking very bad, but I want to go for the guy that's at altitude. The guy that's the Microsoft client. But then he dies. I wasn't able to get within range. The F-4E is turning the other way. I'm only going to get his 6 now. And it's going to take me quite a time to get to him. Now there are 2 F-4Es, but there's also an F-5E. And the F-5E here takes absolute maximum priority. He tries to pull in last second for a head-on. Yeah, we're not going to do that here. And he gets his plane absolutely torn apart. And here we have a slow F-4E on our 6 and a slow one in front of us. So we're going to outrun the guy behind us, catch the guy in front of us. We are going to drop the Sparrows because we don't need them anymore. And I'm just going to be finishing the F-4E here. I'm going to try to pull in, shoot the missile off, and we get a crit. We take an elevator off. Now keep this in mind, and keep in mind what I said at the start of the video, that the F-4E will still turn very similarly to us. So we go kind of spiraling against both of them, because I'm going much quicker than both of these guys. Now, yes, they turn better, but I have a lot more energy, and one of them is crit. So I should be able to just kind of raid behind the F-4E here, just on pure energy alone. So I'm just pulling, and waiting for one of them to appear in front of us. One of them pulls in, and yes, he is pulling into us, but he's not going to be doing that for a very long time. The first F-4E actually breaks off. I'm thinking about shooting the missile here, and I don't. Probably wouldn't have reached him anyway, and we have to pull back into Mr. Nissan here. So we go head on. He of course pulls in for the head on. I should have hit him 100% there, but we didn't. Luckily we have the energy to go up and over. And now the thing that I mentioned earlier is gonna bite us in the ass. So we shoot the missile off at him. We chaff it. But there is just... I shouldn't have gone up. And I probably should have spammed my countermeasures a lot harder. But it's a little bit sour to die to the guy that you crit at the start of the fight. So, here's more of an average game. This is actually the first game I ever did in this plane, so I'm just full sending it. Just to see and kind of feel, touch and feel what the matchmaker is like, what I can get away with, what I can't get away with, and just get a feel for the plane. I haven't flown something like this Phantom for a very long time. I've flown the F-4E, the American one, but that handles quite a bit differently, so I want to fly it quite a bit differently as well. So you're gonna see me do some of the worst moves you can do, but I'm trying to play it somewhat sneaky. I'm hiding in the trees, and I'm one step away from starting to speak Japanese. So we lock onto this F-14 just over the crest of the hill. He doesn't see it, and he flies right into the missile. And yes, you are gonna be killing F-4Es and stuff like that, or F-14s, F-16s, MiG-29s, it doesn't really matter. If they don't see you coming, and you shoot a missile off and they're not reacting to it, I mean, it doesn't really matter what plane you are flying. And that's the way I'm flying it. I'm trying to fly it in a way that it doesn't matter what my plane is. If I get myself in certain positions, I should be able to get the kill regardless. So F-14 slams into the ground right below us. And we go for the next guy. Harrier coming head on. Now he's too low to lock onto with the Sparrow. And he's dumping all his flares. I'm just going to try to get a shot in. I don't manage to connect anything. It's kind of unlucky. It was a relatively easy shot. I then see an F-16 behind us. And I didn't see him shoot a missile, but the AIM-9Ls burn for a very long time. So I just end up dumping my flares, gutting my afterburner just in case there is a missile in the air. Just because I can't see it doesn't mean it isn't there. I don't know if I defeated anything. I'm not sure if I wasted all my countermeasures, but I'm rather safe than sorry when I have something that can sling AIM-9Ls on my 6. So the F-16 here goes for someone else. I just kind of slot in behind him, try to lead the missile. I shoot it off, he dumps all his flares the second I shoot, and my missile goes absolute apeshit and flies off to Narnia. Now the F-16 is pretty slow, so we just hold the trigger down, we lead the plane, he gives me a very nice broadside. So we make him kiss some trees as a result as well. And that's kill number 2. Now the kills here aren't spectacular, the gameplay isn't spectacular, but this is not a spectacular plane. This is a plane that you have to fly depending on the scenario that's being created in front of you. And I thought I would shoot at the Harrier here from an off angle that he wouldn't see it, but the other MiG-23 is firing at him as well. And unlike in my J7E video that I did a little bit ago, there was a guy that was spamming flares left, right and center, and he was doing it for the entirety of the match, so I knew that he was about to run out. This guy, however, has not really been spamming his flares until right now, so there is really no use to just save my missiles. Right now he's just absolutely spamming them. I was hoping that I could maybe sneak in one with the one that I fired lastly, but I couldn't get such a thing done. Now we don't have much ammo left. He almost kisses a tree. We almost kiss our friendly, but he's not my homie, so I'm not going to be kissing him goodnight. We managed to get a crit in, but we are now out of ammo. And I really want this kill. Why? I'm greedy. What can I say? And I'm just trying to sit on this guy's 6, trying to make him pull into the ground, try to stay above him, and try to make him look up and not down. And there you have it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.